Well, hello everybody. I got a little project going here. I picked up this this old Ariens snowblower here. Let's see if I can get you on camera here. I don't know if I'm in focus or not. Oh boy. All right. So anyway, I got this old Ariens snowblower. This is an ST824. It means it's an 8 horsepower, 24 inch. This model was built in 1980. So that means that this thing is 43 years old. Now, back in the day, I used to be a small engine mechanic, and I worked on these things and I sold them, and I have always said that the Ariens 2-stage snowblower is without a doubt the best you could get. Now, over the years, they have gotten cheaper, and they're not made as well as some of these older machines. Now, I'm going to show you what sets this machine apart from some of the others. I'm going to take you off the tripod here and bring you over. For one, it's got these big 8-inch wheels. And I'm going to pause for a second here. All right, I'm back. Let's try this again. So, you know, like I said, one of the things that's really cool about this is it's got these big 8-inch wheels. And it has a differential, and you can lock the wheels out on it. You can see where it says differential lock in and out. Now, the thing is, with this stock one that I had, the differential knob is gone, and I was able to find one on eBay with the knob and the roll pin to put it on. So I went ahead and I ordered that up. Now, this machine is in pretty good shape for a 43-year-old machine. It ran when I went and picked it up, but it didn't run good. It was the carburetor was in bad shape. It was leaking gas. I think the guy was running it with the choke on, because if you can see here, the exhaust port on it is just black. The muffler was just black, and it was loose, and then it was ready to fall off. So, but other than that, the machine is in really good shape. The belts have been changed at one point. There's no cracks or anything in those. Everything else is pretty good. One thing that I do like about these old machines is this housing. It's heavy gauge steel. It's not like the new ones today are cheap, and if you look at this front edge here, it's a rolled edge. These old machines were just built to a standard that they're not built to today. No manufacturer is. I don't think anybody builds a machine that's as heavy duty as this old one. So what I did is I gave it a good once over, and I kind of looked at what kind of parts it was going to need to bring this back up to par. For the most part, everything is there. Most of the parts that I ordered for this are just what I consider maintenance items. So, you know, if you look at the dash over here, this is your crank for your chute, on-off switch. It's 5 forward speeds and a reverse. This is your throttle. This is your auger control, and this is your clutch for your drive. Now, like I said, I gave this thing a pretty good going over when I got it, and I got it for a song. I picked it up dirt cheap. I got it for 120 bucks. So, and this is the way I look at it. For $120, I can put a couple $100 into it. It's just my time and my labor. You know, I could put a couple $100 in parts in it and still come out way ahead than what these things are selling for. These things, they still sell for $400, $500, $600. I've seen, you know, varying prices on them. They hold their value really, really well because they do not wear out. I mean, parts wear out, but parts are replaceable, and you can still get almost every part on this machine. The only thing that's getting a little tough to get parts for is the engine. And the reason I say that is this is a Tecumseh engine, and Tecumseh went out of business years and years ago. I don't know if anybody bought them out. I do know that the Chinese, which are masters at copying anything have started producing a lot of parts for these, so they're keeping these engines going. The oil in this thing is clean. It's got a dipstick. You know, a lot of the new machines don't even have a dipstick on them, and I think that's kind of cool. It's got a primer bulb right here, which I'll probably be changing. Obviously, I'm going to put a new fuel line on it. So the bearings in the rear axle, they're worn. You know, it's to be expected after 43 years. There's a little play in the axle. So this thing had electric start when I got it, but it didn't work. It squealed really, really bad, and the starter pinion, one of the teeth was missing. It was missing a tooth on the starter pinion gear. So if you want to buy a new Tecumseh electric start, and it plugs into 110 volt. If you want to buy a new one, you're looking at 200 bucks ish, roughly right around that. Or you can do what I did, and you can go to the Chinese version here, which cost me 60 bucks on eBay, and it's identical to the one that was on it. They even give you a new cord, and they give you new bolts to mount it. So I said, you know what? For 60 bucks, I'm going to take a chance, and if I get a year or two out of it, fine, it's great. So, you know, who knows how long it'll last. Like I say, it looks identical to the original. So, same story. Carburetor. I got a new carburetor. It's Chinese. New carburetor, I think it was about $60. A rebuild kit was about $20. I think I got this whole carburetor with the fuel line, and it comes with a new primer bulb, fuel line, fuel shutoff, spark plug, new line for the primer bulb. I got the whole thing for 20 bucks. So I said, for $20, I don't even got to monkey around with it. So what I'm going to do, and then this one, and not only that, let me see if I can do this with one hand. It has the little plunger on the bottom, so if you want to drain the fuel out of it at the end of the season, you don't have to pull the fuel lines off. You can just shut the fuel off, and then push that plunger, and it'll drain the bowl. So, got a brand new carburetor, and it's got high speed, low speed adjustment, just like the original. I got a quart of oil. The drive disc on this is kind of cracked, so I got a new drive disc. You know, this is aftermarket. This is from Stens. This is a pretty good company. Part number on this is 240394. It replaces as Ariens 047-43700. And I've read some reviews. You want to try to stay away from the Chinese ones. This is made in Canada and USA. They seem to be holding up better. I got a package of shear bolts for the auger, just because those are good to have on hand. Now the original scraper, as you can see it on the machine there, it's worn right through. I got a new scraper bar and bolts, and I got some plastic skid shoes for it. I like the plastic skid shoes better than the steel ones because they don't scratch up your driveway, they slide better, they don't rust, and you can flip them over and get two sides out of them just like you do on the steel shoes. I got down here, I got new axle bearings, and then I also got another bearing for the, I don't know what to call it. There's a shaft that this clutch disc rides on, and one of the bearings is worn, so I got the bearing to replace that. And then I got a muffler kit. I got this on eBay as well, and this is pretty slick. The original one didn't come with this bracket that's on the back side, and what that's for is when it bolts on, it will bolt on to that bolt right there, and so it'll be a little more secure. It won't be wobbling around. It also came with new bolts, a gasket, and a lock tab. So I'm going to be putting all this stuff on here, and I'm going to refurbish this snowblower. And I wouldn't really call it a restore. I'm not going to restore it. I'm not going to paint it. But I mean, come on, the paint's in pretty good shape. It was really dirty when I got it. But when I brought it home, I sprayed the whole thing down with simple green, and then I hit it with a pressure washer, and it cleaned up really good. So this is going to be a fun little project. I'm kind of waiting for the rain to to quit here. It started raining a little bit. Of course, every time I want to come outside and do something, it rains. But I'm going to put you back on the tripod here. And I'm going to show you what I got here. So, you know, I just went to Harbor Freight and I got this little stool. And this thing is the berries. I love this little stool. It's going to put me at just the right height when I want to work on this. I got some other things I want to do. This little stool is going to come in handy. So it's comfortable. It's got a little tool tray. I can throw some tools underneath it while I'm working on this. So I'm going to put most of this stuff away. And I think today's project is going to be pulling the wheels off and pulling the axles out and doing the axle bearings. And I got some brand new bearings here for it. So we're gonna work on that. So I'm going to pause you and I'm going to get set up and then I'll come back. Okay, so let's see if I can show you what we got going on here. So the best way to work on these things, and it's really easy to access everything, there's a cover panel that goes on here that I've already taken off because, like I said, I sprayed everything down with simple green and I gave it a good wash. There's a couple of grease fittings on here that I'll be hitting when I get it put back together. There's one over here, there's one here. I don't know if there's one on the other side here anywhere, but I'll be addressing those. So what we're looking at here is, one other thing that I noticed is that this gear right here, it spins freely on the shaft, and it should not. So in other words, if I jam a screwdriver in here, I can spin this axle and the gear doesn't turn. So I'm hoping it's not a spline. I don't think it is. I think that there's a key, a Woodruff key that's in this, and so it should be a simple thing of replacing that Woodruff key. It's either sheared or gone or whatever. So we're going to find out when I get into it. So the next thing what we're going to do here is we're going to address, you can see the play here, and it's on both sides. Okay, so the bearings obviously need to be replaced in the axle. I mean, really, come on, they only lasted 43 years. I'm probably, like I say, when I get done refurbing this, I'll probably never have to do any major repairs to it again. Everything else, like I say, is in pretty good shape. The drive disc up here, you can see it, I don't know if you can see it in the camera there, but it's got some cracks in it, but we're going to be replacing that too. And it's really simple to change. It just bolts on from the outside and you slide this off and put a new one on and bolt it back on. Not that big of a deal. Got a number 41 drive chain. Somebody's been in here before because there's a master link on this chain, but the other chain doesn't have a master link anywhere. I've looked for one and I cannot find one. So I don't think anybody's ever taken that chain off for whatever reason. And these, you can see there's some play in this chain, but they can be adjusted, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll be changing this outboard bearing up here. Excuse me, no, it's on this shaft here. It's on this hex shaft. I'll be changing this bearing because you can see it's got some play in it, and I have that bearing as well. So first things first, I'm going to pop these wheels off. Let's see if this, I got a new Ryobi. I got a nice new little 3/8 impact. I got a new toy. So let's see if it'll break these lug nuts loose. Oh, I need an extension. Darn it. Can't quite get in there. So let's see how this goes. See if it's got enough power to do this. Yep. Pretty good, right? That's kind of cool. This thing starts out slow and then it ramps up the torque. That's pretty cool. Alright, so there's one wheel. Let's get the other one off. Alrighty. Now on this side, I think there's a plastic cap here. If you take this cap off, yeah, there's a clip on here. Let's see if I can show you. Let's see if I can get this clip off without breaking it. That's going to be, and that's going to allow me to pull this flange off of this. I don't know if I'm going to need, yeah, I probably will need to take that off. I hate doing that. These are made to push on, and it's when you try to get them off, they always get mangled up. Let's see what we got here. Can I weasel this off? Oh yeah, it might come off. Just work at it slow. Don't try to take it off all in one shot, as they say. See, it's stuck right there. It's coming though. So I was able to download a parts manual and an owner's manual online for this old machine, and it's kind of a useful thing because it shows you how all the assemblies go together, what parts, and like I said, I'm able to get most of the parts for this still. Like I said, this one here, the engine is a 1979. The model year of this machine is a 1980. This is the first year on this machine that they went to all black frame, all black engine. The ones prior in the 70s, 60s and 70s were white engines, white Tecumseh engines. And you know, this was the first year where everything went to black handle, black engine. So if you take your time, see, this stuff will come right apart. And there I go. I'll put that right back on. So, did I need to take that off? No. This flange appears to be welded to the axle shaft. Oh well. So, the next step, if I bring you over here, is the differential lockout on this. There's part of the spring there. The plunger was gone. So anyway, so this has got to be driven out. The pin only goes one way. I'm not sure which way it goes on this one. I'm going to get a punch and a hammer, and we'll see if we can drive it out of there. It should come out fairly easy. Famous last words, right? Let's see. A small punch. Dig around in the toolbox. That might work. Little hammer. Let's see here. Is this going to want to come out and cooperate for me? Maybe it goes the other way. I didn't see it budge. Let's try this way. Is it going? No? Let's try the other way. I thought it moved. Come on. Maybe I need a bigger hammer. Maybe I was going the right way. I don't know. Yeah, I think it does come out from that side. Let's try a bigger hammer. Sometimes a little more of a dead blow is what it takes. There it goes. See there? Bigger hammer. Got to show it who's boss. Actually, I think I drove it out the wrong way. Let's go back in with it, see if I can go the other way. Oh, come on. And the reason I say that is there's a knurling on one side of this pin. Come on, baby. Stay put. Oh, for Pete's sake. You know I'm going to smack my hand with a hammer. If I don't use my favorite words at least once, I'm not doing it right. So I'm going to cheat. Punch holder. Come on. No, this one doesn't have the knurls. I'll be darned. This one is just a roll pin. Okay. Did I drive it out far enough? Yep, pin's out. Alright. Let's see if I can pry this off. There she goes. Beautiful. Part of the old spring. It's missing the plunger, the knob. There's what's left of the old spring. This will all get trashed. The new one is going to take its place. Now, let's see what's next. Not sure. Ooh. Okay, this part of the axle here is attached to the main axle over here. So I think what I need to do is I need to pull these nuts off, and then that should slide right out that side. So that's what we're going to do. See if I can get you somewhere where you can see it. If I don't get my fat head in the way. Alright, so what do we got? Looks like 7/16. Might have to get a longer extension to get past that flange. We'll see. Let's see, are we 7/16? Yes. Let's not play around. Let's just grab a longer extension. Let's see how this goes. Trying to get in here with my little stool. I bought this thing so I don't have to work on my knees no more. Huh. Uh-oh. Not good. I got one carriage bolt that's spinning on the back side. That's not good. Oh, it's a slotted screw. All right, I can save this. Right with a screwdriver. Thank goodness it's a slotted screw. If I could hold it. There we go. Get the nut I just dropped. It's coming. Oh, there is a spline. Wow, this bearing is toast. Okay, there's a washer. Might have to pound this out. Oh no, here it goes. It's just got some gunk on it. Yeah, the bearing is toast. Really bad. See if I come over here and show you what I'm looking at. And you see the seal is gone. All the balls are exposed. That's not good. Alright. Now what concerns me is that gear that I talked about, how it spins on the shaft. That's kind of got me a little concerned, because that is a spline, not a key. It shows a keyway in the breakdown, so I'm not sure how this is going to go. Okay, so I got another roll pin on this side. Over on this side, I don't know if you can see it or not, right here, there's a roll pin. I got to drive that roll pin out, and then I'll be able to slide that axle out that side. So I'm going to drive this roll pin out first, and then I'll pull the screws off the bearing retainer just like I did on the other side. So I got to find a punch. I'm going to actually put you on pause for just a second here. Well, maybe not. I'll just let it roll and see how it goes. Just get a smaller punch, because this roll pin's not as big. Now how do I get you over here so you can see what I'm doing? Alright, let's see if we can drive this one out. That one's coming right out. okay. I even caught it, didn't shoot it across the room. Alright, so that's out. Now, let's get these screws out on this side. I think this little impact's a winner. Well, I have air impacts, but it's nice to not have to drag the hose around. Everything going cordless today, the power of cordless tools has gotten really good. So let's see what happens here. I should be able to slide this out now. That's weird. I don't really understand how this works. There's a spline and it's engaged in that, and there's a bearing in that gear. See the splines? There's the splines. Let me see if I can slide this gear out and take a look at it. Got all kinds of crud on it. Well, everything engages the way it's supposed to. Oh, it's a differential. There's got to be a pinion in here. And it's a sealed unit. And when I put it back in, I'll scrape some of this crud off. But you'll see, if I turn the spline on one side, see how this one goes the other way. So it's got to have a planetary gear in there. That's pretty cool. Alright, so we're just going to let that sit here for a minute. And we're going to keep going here. I'm going to pull this axle out. I thought that would have had a woodruff key, but I guess not. So, don't lose. Wow, that was a big bee. What's a big bee doing out at this time of year? Okay, we're going to slide this off. Just like so. This bearing's every bit as bad as the other one. Alright. Now, I am going to pause you now because I want to clean this axle up a little bit, and it's going to take me a while. So we're going to go ahead and hit pause. Okay, so I cleaned the axle shaft up pretty good. I cleaned some of the schmoo off of this, so that's a little better, a little cleaner. It's a pretty heavy gear. Now the bearings, let's see if I can show you here. The bearings have a lip on one side. It sticks out past the bearing. So this does make a difference which way these go in. The lip, which is right here, that faces to the outside. So, to put this back together, well, I guess I should have cleaned this up a little bit. That would help. Just scrape some of the grease off with a putty knife. Old dried grease. And then I'm going to give it a spray with some brake clean. Oh, this can's about empty. No, that can is empty. Alright, not to worry, we have more. I buy brake clean by the case and turn a wrench on stuff. It's a handy little tool. Alright, let's try this again. Oh yeah, look at that grease come right off of there. Yeah, because you got to hope that I'm not going to take this off again for another 40 years. And I'll probably be long dead before that happens. So my real plan for this, while I'm cleaning this part up, I'll just talk a little bit. My real plan for this is to get this thing refurbed, to get everything working on it, and then I'm going to drain the fuel out of it and I'm going to put it away. Here where I am in Michigan, I'm in the Detroit area. We don't get like super heavy snowfalls, not all the time. You know, we get our occasional big storm, but not a lot. Most of the time I got a little Toro rubber paddle single stage machine that takes care of most of my snow duties. I do also do my neighbors, because I got a couple of retired ladies that I live in between, and I take care of them and I do their snow for them. And the one is on a corner lot, so if we get a big giant snowfall, I don't want to go out and kill my old Toro. I'll be able to use this. So, oh man, more crud. What a surprise. It's alright, I'll get it scraped off. Give it a little wipe. Rag is pretty saturated with brake clean right now, so I just give it a wipe down. Now I'm bringing you over here and show you something else on this. See, it's got 3 holes here. 1, 2, 3. Those correspond with these pins that are on here. So, I'm going to bring it back over here. So I'll just show you what I'm doing. I got the axle cleaned up pretty good. So what you do is you slide this bearing retainer on, and then you put your new bearing on. Like I said, flange faces out, and pay attention to how you put that on. So that goes on like so. Then as this goes in, for Pete's sake, I keep forgetting to do stuff here. You got this big washer that goes on, and this is just something for that roll pin to ride up against so it doesn't eat up the bearing. So I'm going to clean the gunk off of this. Let's give it a spray. Okay, that's pretty good. So now, put that washer on, line the spline up. There we go. Slide this washer down. Get this lined up with these holes and these screws. 3 little holes lined up, so now you'll see I'll be able to drive that roll pin back in. Uh-oh. I dropped a screw. Of course. Gotta drop at least one. Oh no. Alright, I'm gonna pause. Okay, so it's a good thing I paused the camera, because this thing fell in a spot that I couldn't find. It was a bugger to get out. and I was using all my favorite words, and then I couldn't reach my fingers in with the screw to get it back in, so I had to hold it with a pair of vice grips, needle nose vice grips, so I could get it in the hole. So I got it in, I got all the screws started, so life is good. So I'm not going to snug all these up until I get everything reassembled. I think I will drive this roll pin in though. Let's see if I can get that in there. Oh, you know what? Since I got the needle nose vice grips out, I'll use this so I don't smack my finger, which I'm usually really good at. Okay, I got it started. Let's get the punch. Okay, that's about even. Wow, it already feels way better. And that's not even, I don't even have the nuts tightened down on the flange yet. Okay, so let's come back over to this side. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to pause for a minute. Okay, so let's continue on with this. Now, I have everything else cleaned up pretty good. Let's see here. This washer goes back on. It goes on like so. And then the bearing is going to go on. And remember, like I said, this flange faces out. And you line up the 3 little tabs with the 3 holes, just like the other side. See if I can get this on without pushing these screws out like I did on the other side. Come on. Okay, there we go, it went. I cleaned up the splines on the axle shaft pretty good. Like I said, there's another grease fitting there. I'll be hitting that. So now it's a matter of sliding this back in. Lining it up with the splines, and there we go. So now I can put the nuts back on, which I think are on my little stool that I'm rolling around on. And once I get these on here, then I can go ahead and tighten everything up. And then we'll see if there's much improvement. Now, when I first got this snowblower, the scraper bar and one skid shoe was worn on one side really bad. And at first I thought that it was, you know, low tire pressure, because that could do that. Or the skid just stopped being adjusted properly, but for it to wear on that side, it got me to looking at this a little bit closer. And that's when I realized that the bearings were pretty well worn. Alright, let's get the little impact, tighten this back up. Oh, there's that one, it's spinning again. Now, I thought these were carriage bolts. Thankfully, they're just little machine screws with a screwdriver head on it. Now, these don't have to be real tight, just tight. They're not going to go anywhere. They're a whiz-lock flange nut, so they're self-locking. They're not going to go anywhere. All right. Oh yeah, so much better. All right, so let's see if I can get my new roll pin on here, or a new differential lock rather. See, this one's got, I don't know if you can see this or not. It's got a couple little grooves on one side. I don't really know if it makes a difference which way it goes. Yeah, we're going to stick it on like that. Alright, so let's disengage it so I can get this on all the way and get this pin lined up. And that's all there is to that. Alright, so there's two things fixed at one time. I got new axle bearings in. Everything's tight as far as that goes. Man, these bearings are really bad. I can't believe all the balls didn't fall out.
Text message.
There goes my phone again. Alright, so what do I want to attack next? I think the next thing I'm going to do, let's see if I got you in focus here still. Yep. This bearing here is going to get changed. Now that, I think I'm going to use a ratchet to take that off. That's a lock nut. I'm going to need a big wrench on the back side of this. Let's see if I can get you over here and show you what's going on here. No, I got to raise you up a little bit. I'm going to pause. Alright, so this is the next bearing replacement. Now this shaft is just a 9/16 wrench. It's a hex shaft, so hold on to that shaft. You can jam that wrench up there. And then I got a long handled ratchet. And there we go. Broke right loose. I probably could have got it with the impact, but I didn't want to play around with it. Just in case it gave me a battle. I can't believe this stuff is coming apart this easy for a machine this old. Especially because you know it's used in wet conditions. And if I put away wet, I would expect everything to just be frozen solid on here. Alright, so you got a washer, got a nut. Now, next thing I need to do is take these 4 screws off. And those, let's see what we got here. Those look like 3/8. Yep. Alright. Handy dandy impact. And we'll take these out. These are whiz locks on both sides, so you can't put them on wrong. Now all these bearings that I got, I did not go with original OEM Ariens just because they were really expensive. I went aftermarket, you know, with Stens or with whoever. And, you know, of course, it's Chinese, but they'll be fine. They'll outlive me. Let's see if I can get this off of here. Not bending it. Come on. It's coming. There we go. Now, is that bearing going to come off nice and easy for me? No. What's involved with this? Slide your shaft out of the way. That bearing is bad. Just like the other ones, you can see. Oh, okay. If I'm gonna have to take this chain off. I'm kind of figuring this out as I go along. It's been a long time since I've worked on one of these. I gotta slide this shaft and this gear out of the way. Ooh, maybe I can, if I get a long screwdriver, maybe I can cheat. Is it moving? I can't tell. Ow! Just smacked my hand. It's coming. It's giving me a fight, but it's coming. I don't know what I'm abusing more, the screwdriver or my hand. There's just no way around this. All right, I'm going to pause the camera. I got to pull this chain off so I can slide this gear out of the way far enough. Bummer. Thought I could sneak it out, but it's in there so tight that it's not going to let me. All right, I'm going to pause. Okay, I'm going to take you off the tripod here and show you what I had to go through. I did get it off. I had to take the chain off. There's a chain right there. And the master link, and there's a master link clip. And the reason being is I had to get this shaft slid back out of the way. Right now it's hitting, I can't do this with one hand, it's hitting this other chain here, but basically I had to get that slid out of the way so I could get in there and beat that bearing out from the back side. And it was just kind of frozen in there with the paint and rust. Now the bearing the seal is gone on the back side. And that's generally what causes these bearings to go bad. Once the seal goes bad, moisture and dirt and crud can get in there. And you can see the bearings, it's toast. Okay, so we come over here to my box of parts, and there's the new one. And you can see nice new seals. And the trick is going to be, this goes in about halfway. So I got to tap it in. You see how it's going to go about halfway on that flange. If you look at the old bearing, maybe you can see the paint line in it, where it went in about halfway. So that's the same thing we're going to do. I'm going to try to tap this in halfway. Let's see if I can get you back on the stand here. Now, when you do this, you want to be careful not to beat on the inner race, because that'll deform the bearings. You only tap on the outside edge. That's probably about good right there. So now, one thing that's cool about the inner bearing flange is that you can't drop the bolts. It's all part of the flange. But I'm going to wipe some of this crud off of it. I got my brake clean saturated rag here. Harbor Freight gloves are holding up pretty good. Normally, brake clean, there we go, it's Chinese version. Brake clean normally likes to eat these gloves up, but these are holding up pretty good. Alright, so let's get this back in place. And this is going to be tough, trying to get my hands in here. Ooh, there we go. I got lucky. Well, I got it halfway in. Come on, baby. Where's that big screwdriver? There it is. No, that's the little one. Ah, there we go. All right, that's good. Where's the outer flange? Here's the outer flange. It's pretty clean. It's not too bad. I can just give it a wipe with the dry rag. Like I say, these old Ariens, boy, these things are built like a tank. The new ones are not built like this old one. They're good, but not as heavy duty as these old ones. Oh, come on. Gonna fight me. Of course it is. Let's see if I can get a nut started on that. I can get a couple nuts started on it, I might be able to pull it down. I think yeah, I'm gonna go handheld with this just to see if I can pull this in a little bit without distorting this plate. Got hung up on one thread. Now I'll go back to the impact. Run these in. I'm not going to tighten them all the way up yet, not till I get the shaft in. Alright, so now there's a washer on the inside of this shaft that I did not lose. It's still on there. Now I can shove this shaft over, get it in. Okay. Put the washer back on the outside. Put the nut on. Okay, 9/16 wrench on the hex shaft to hold it. And let's run this in. There we go. And the only thing left to do now is fish the chain back on. This will be fun. How am I going to get that? I need something to hook on that. Oh, I got a magnet. Maybe that'll work. Trying to get it on the sprocket. There we go. Now, can I get the master link back in? Okay, I'm getting there. Get this master link on all the way. There we go. Put the outer plate on. Come on, baby. It helps if you talk to them. If they don't cooperate, I cuss at them. There we go. Outer plate's on. Clip on. Alright. So there's the 3 bearings. Now, the next thing that I want to address here is, I told you that the chains are loose. There's a way to adjust them. I'm going to show you how to do that here. Wipe some of this grease off my hands. Okay, so let's come over here. see if I can show you. Okay, these two sprockets are on a shaft, and you have to loosen this nut and this nut. Let's see, are those 9/16? Yes. Okay. So we're going to loosen this nut and see if this one will come loose. No. Of course, the whole thing's going to spin. So we're going to tighten this one back down. Now let's see if I can break it loose. There we go. Okay, that one's coming loose. And there's kind of like a toothed washer. Okay, that one's going to need the impact to come loose because I'm going to be fighting it. Get one side loose and then the other side doesn't want to come loose. So we'll cheat. Just like that. Okay, so this is on a slotted shaft. First. So if I pull up on it and then tighten it back down, see the chains are nice and tight now. Tighten this nut down. Okay. There's a little slack in this one, but that's okay. It's better than it was. This one got a little play, so it's not too tight. Alright, but that's better than it was. And like I say, I'm just going to call all this stuff that I'm doing to it, this is just normal maintenance. I mean, this is just wear parts and things that have come out of adjustment. So now, what's the next thing? Let's get this disc changed. The rubber drive disc. So, oops, that's not 9/16, it's got to be a half. There we go. So I'll use the 9/16 to hold the shaft. And so I can break these nuts loose. And they're not real tight. They're, it just goes into an aluminum flange. So when you put these on, you want to be careful not to over torque them and strip that flange out, because then you will have a major repair on your hands. There's one. Let's see if I can get another one here. Now I would have to believe that somebody at some point changed this rubber drive disc. I can't see one of these discs lasting 40 years. Now it's possible, but I kind of doubt it. And rotate her around. Okay, one more. So you're kind of seeing in real time how most of this is going. I mean, I really haven't spent a whole lot of time on this. It's pretty basic mechanics, it really is. It's just nuts and bolts. An occasional hammer, an occasional cuss word. Alright, disc is off. Now, if I remember right, let's see if I can sneak this out of here. No, there was a trick to it. Let's see, what was it? I guess I could pull this cotter pin. I thought it was something about it has to be in a certain gear. There we go. Is that right? Man, it almost wants to come out. Ah, there we go. All right, out with the old, in with the new. Is it the same size? I'll take a look and see here. The holes line up. Yep, holes line up. All right. Now the good thing is Ariens has used this disc for years. And they never changed it, which is a good thing. Okay, so it's in. Now I just got to bolt it back down again. And apparently, this disc is also used on some snapper products. Maybe like their riders or something like that, I don't know. Snowblower maybe. See if I can get all the bolts started. Now this disc doesn't come in contact with the drive plate until you squeeze the lever and it raises the drive plate and comes in contact with this disc. Now when I'm all done and I get this all bolted down, I'm going to come in here with a clean rag and some brake clean and wipe down all the surfaces, the rubber and the surfaces on the drive disc. And I'll just run these in and get them snug. And then I'll come back and tighten them up. Like I say, it's just in an aluminum, a cast aluminum flange, and you don't want to over tighten this. You'll strip out those holes, and I don't want to do that. tighten them all down. That feels good. I can't do much of anything with my left hand. My left hand is just not coordinated. I'm right-handed, so anything that I need to feel, I do with my right hand. My left hand is just meat and potatoes is all it is. I think that was the last one. Yep. Okay. So there we go. Drive disc is in. 2 axle bearings. A differential lockout. Intermediate shaft bearing. How do I keep grabbing this empty can of brake clean? Alrighty, we're going to call that good. Get some of these tools out of the way. I got half my toolbox out over here. Alright, that takes care of everything that I was going to change on the inside. So I'm going to get a grease gun and I'm going to grease up these grease fittings. And see, I got 1, 2, 3 grease fittings. And then I pulled this cap off, and I didn't really need to do that. I guess all it does is just gives something to attach that hubcap to. So we're going to put it back on. Is that on all the way? Yeah, it's seated. Okay. Now I get the clip on that I was so worried about mangling. Don't ask me why, because I've mangled them in the past. See if I can get this on. Oh, look at that, it landed right in the hubcap. Couldn't do that again if I wanted to. I think it's going to be harder to get on than it was to get off. Yeah, I think I need a screwdriver. Push that on. Come on. There it goes. Alrighty. Is that on? Can I call it on? I think it is. Okay, hubcap can go back on. Look at this, 40-some years and it's not broken. Alright, I'm going to pause and put the wheels on. You don't need to watch me do that. Okay, so where are we standing right now? Well, I got 2 grease fittings greased. Top grease fitting up here. Got that greased. I lubed the chains with some nice chain lube. It's like a foaming chain lube, so it stays stuck pretty good. I put some grease on the gear and spun it around, so that's lubed up real good. And so now the next thing that I'm working on, I got the tires on, of course, so you can tell. The next thing I'm working on here is the scraper bar. Now, whoever had this before didn't change the scraper bar or have it adjusted properly. Where's the socket that I'm looking for? Huh. There it is. No, that's not it. What the heck? Oh, it's already on the rack. There we go. So, like I said, originally it had worn down one of the skid shoes really bad. It wore right through. And you can tell where it was only rubbing on one side. It wasn't rubbing on this side. So it was really leaning to the left side really bad. And they wore into the housing a little bit. Now, it's not all the way through. I can put a new scraper on. And then when I get the skid shoes on, I'll show you how to adjust it. Now this scraper, I don't know why they call it a scraper, because it should really never come in contact with the concrete. You set these skid shoes so that it's about this scraper bar is always about 1/8 of an inch off of the pavement. And you know, you check it a couple times a year depending on how often you use it, and you always want it to sit just above that. So here we go, new scraper bar. Alrighty, and that's all there is to that. Now I'm going to try to replace these skids, but I think that I'm going to run into a problem with the bolts aren't going to be long enough. I might have some new bolts, but I still don't know if they're going to be long enough. I think they're the same size. Oh, these might work. Alright, I'm going to try it. Alright, so let's see what we got here. There's 4 new bolts. I got the skids. Let's get the old skids off. Those 9/16. Yep. So let's get these old skids off. Off with the old. Like I said, they wore that one right through. This is supposed to look like this. So let's see if these new bolts are going to be long enough. I hope so. Nice plastic skids. Alright, bolts are going to be long enough. That's awesome. Alright. Let's get the other one in. Let's do the same thing to the other side. this thing is moving right along here. What did I do with the other skid? Oh, here it is. Now the nuts on these, you don't need a washer. It's a flange nut, and it's a whiz lock. It's serrated on the back side, so you don't need a lock washer. You don't need Loctite. It'll bite into this plastic, no problem. Now I'm just going to snug these up for the time being. Just so I can move it around. But what I need is I need two paint scrapers, or excuse me, 2 paint sticks for stirring paint. And you put one on each side and you lay this thing down on the ground and you let the scraper bar sit right on top of the paint sticks, which is about 1/8 of an inch thick, and then you drop the skids down to the ground, and that's how you set your height on your scraper bar. So I think I'm done on the bottom side of this. The next thing that it'll be working on is the engine. I got everything done as far as the mechanicals of the snowblower part itself. The tractor unit, as they call it. So the next section that I'll be working on is going to be the engine, and that'll be kind of a part 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get the cover and put that on and button up the bottom side. I'm going to pause. Alright, so I found all the screws. I put them all in a cup. When I take things apart, I like to put all my nuts and bolts and things like that in a little container, a cup, a parts tray, whatever. I salvage magnets out of old microwaves. Every time I see a microwave thrown out in the garbage, I know where the magnets are in the inside. I pick up the microwaves and I bring them home and I take them apart and I pull the magnets out because they come in so handy. And I'll throw one of them magnets in the bottom of the cup. So even if I tip it over, everything is stuck to the magnet and I don't lose everything. So right now I got, looks like I got everything on here where it's supposed to be. And run everything in. And that's it. So let's call this a part 1. That's going to pretty much take care of everything on the bottom side. The only thing I got to do now, like I say, is adjust the scraper, but I don't have a paint stick out here to do it with right now. So the next thing that I'll be working on is going to be the engine and getting that up and running and new carburetor on and getting it all adjusted and resurrecting this old classic snowblower. Now, like I say, a new one of these today, I'm going to guess is probably, I don't know what the equivalent of it today would be. It'd probably be, $1,500, something like that. I mean, that's just a guess. So, like I say, I got about, with all the parts that I end up with and everything, I'm going to end up with about $300 into this. And it's worth way more than that. Like I say, this thing is built like a tank. They just don't build the new ones as good as this old one. It's going to serve me just fine. So that's all I got today. Watch for part 2. If you like the stuff that I'm doing, you never know what you're going to see me doing. I don't have any particular genre that I stick to when I make videos for YouTube. You never know what you're going to see. It could be, it could be woodworking, it could be motorcycles, it could be e-bikes, it could be snowblowers. You never know what I'm going to be tinkering with next. So if you like my content and you like the stuff that I do, like, subscribe, ask questions. I answer my comments, and that's all I got for today, folks. I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, so here's, I just figured I'd go ahead and show you how to do this anyway. So what you need to do to adjust your skid shoes, you want 2 paint scrapers. Alright, you lift the blower up, and you set it down till it sits on those paint scrapers. Then all you have to do, drop your skid shoe all the way to the ground, and then tighten the bolts up. Oh. Same thing on the other side. And that's all there is to it. Now when you pull the paint scrapers out, you're 1/8 of an inch off the ground. And the scraper won't drag on the ground. The skid shoes won't allow it to happen. That's how you want these things adjusted. So that's how you do that. Alright, so that's it for today.